In this video, I'm going to be rebuilding my Snap-on S710 Ratchet. This Ratchet was built in the late 70s, early 80s if I'm not mistaken, based off of the date code that was stamped in between the selector pawl. But before I go on, don't forget to check out my channel content for more. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hey, have fun. The primary reason why I decided to go ahead and replace the internal gears and do a full-on rebuild of this Ratchet was because the selector switch kept falling out. Later in the video, you'll see that I have to mushroom that selector switch, and I really just don't like that design. Though it is structurally sound, I just don't like the fact that if anything happens or there is a little wiggle in play, that little mushroomed end could just start to seep, and unlike mine, it just came right out and I could never find it. I ended up buying a S80A dual pawl 80 Snap-on Ratchet. And this Ratchet is phenomenal. I bought this actually for my home use, and I just love the sound, the feel. It is a really nice little Ratchet. I still have that 36 tooth Craftsman Ratchet. That will always be my gem as shown in the video, because who hasn't started out with one? I mean, there's a lot of people getting into engineering and or mechanical engineering and or mechanics or any other type of trade thing that just don't realize that many people started out with these Craftsman Ratchets, and they hold a special place even though the Sears is now long gone. But without further ado, I'm going to replace the internals, show you how I do it, to my S710 Snap-on half-inch drive Ratchet. So let's get to it.
Alright, I've got my Snap-on. This is a S710. And this is my Ratchet. I'm going to be rebuilding it and reconditioning it, just giving it a new life. Now, this does resemble the Craftsman, as they are both 32 tooth, but it's much better quality, and if you listen to the count, it's much better. Now, what I'm going to do after I give it a little cleanup is I have a new kit, new plate. It's a Snap-on made in the USA. Even the kit's made in the USA. Now, it's not resemblant to the F80s or any of the dual pawl 80s. Those are a whole different era of their own, but it is more resemblant to TM75s. Still a wonderful Ratchet. If you listen to the sound of this Craftsman, now I do like Craftsman a lot. I do have my own set of Snap-on, but I do love Craftsman's as well. Listen to this. Okay, now listen to the Snap-on. Just like, ha! First I'm going to start by disassembling it. I've got the Stanley screwdriver. Hate me, but it's a USA Stanley, so you can't really hate that much. Was never fond of the screwdrivers from Craftsman. I'm going to remove these two screws so you can see what's on the inside of the Ratchet. I'm going to lay a piece of paper towel down so we can see all the parts that come out. Got a screw. Another screw. Set those aside. The kit does come with two new screws. If you've never seen a kit like this, they pretty much give you everything you need to rebuild your Ratchet. Now that the two screws are out, usually you would want to put this in a vise, but because I can push this with my hand and push the whole unit out, just like that. Shouldn't be like that. Mind you, it really shouldn't be like that. I've got the plate, which you need. You cannot lose this. Gear, which doesn't show any sign of breaking teeth. The backing plate. There's the retaining ring right there. There we go. See the pawl. This one uses a ball bearing inside. Very primitive. Spring. There it is. And those are the old parts, and now I'm gonna go clean this up. Piece of Scotch-Brite and clean up the side and the backing and all the rest of the Ratchet. Using a little brake clean here, I'm just gonna spray the internal with the grease in it. take a rag. So I took the other rag from here because I didn't want to go and get another one. I clean out all that grease in there. I wish I had the long-handled ratchet, 36 tooth long handle ratchet. Oh my gosh, would that be nice? Or dual pole 80 long handle. That's a Cadillac right there. If you're talking ratchets, no, that's a Bentley, not a Cadillac. That looks about good for me. The rest will come out when I use the steel wool to clean it up and make it shine. So let's go do that. I'm at the sink. I'm gonna turn the water on high just for a little bit, then turn the cold on for just a little bit, kind of let it run. Sorry about the bad lighting. Now I've got the ratchet and I'm just gonna go over it lightly with some steel wool at this time. My steel wool is already wet, just kind of alternating directions. And I'm just giving it a thorough clean. And in doing so, it's also shining it up, kind of giving it a nicer, cleaner look. Okay, now that I'm done washing it, I'm going to take a new piece of paper towel, just wrap it around it, and I'm going to take some compressed air and blow out the inside where that hole is, because I don't want rust or that new spring to rust inside of the channel there. Back over to this bench, I'm going to use this compressed air right here and just kind of blow out the inside using shop air. So to save your ears, I'm going to do this and then fast forward me doing this. It's starting to look nice again. There's nothing in it. I'm going to open the bag with parts. Look at this. Wow. And it gives you an arrow on which direction to put it in. New gear. And then we got the switch right here. Sweet. I'm gonna move over to the vise and we're gonna assemble this. All right, I have the vise right here and I'm gonna put it in the vise facing upward. Whoops. But this is in. I'm gonna go grab some super lube and assemble this whole puppy. Lube it up. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, it's like 2 in the morning right now and I'm just getting things done. Here's that metal retaining ring and here's the plate. There's an arrow on the back side of this plate, as you can see. That arrow is the direction that you want this to be pointed when you install it. Unfortunately, I wish there was not like pieces that were broken already on it, like it's dented up already. I don't know if you can see that, but there's little imperfections. It's gonna get imperfections anyways. So what I wanna do is I wanna line that up as straight as I can with the arrow facing up. Facing toward the back of the ratchet. And then I want to take this little retaining ring and that's going to be put in just like this. And we're going to pound that into place if it doesn't already go into place, which it doesn't. 21 millimeter right here should be just about perfect to tap it in place. I just want to make sure that's as straight as it can be. So I don't wreck the socket, I'm going to use this brass hammer. And if I strike the ratchet, I don't destroy the ratchet in the process either. Now that everything's lined up, take that retaining clip right there, make sure that this is facing straight up and down. This retaining clip goes outward. Using my brass hammer. Whoops. I hope I got that straight. No! No, that's unfortunate. You see it? It's just slightly off. Pretty PO'd about that, honestly. So I'm gonna rebuild it anyways. It's just how it is. You just gotta deal with it. Alright, look at that. I did a couple more taps to kind of get it seated in place. Wow. Does that look kind of nice? Sweet. Shiny. Now I can put it back in the vise facing upward like this. Take some super lube, the preferred choice for snap-on. Take a little bit in the hand. I'm just going to lube up the inside here. Lube a little bit of the inside of the ratchet, just like this. you can be very generous with the lube, unlike the dual pol 80s where you can't be really as generous as I am. Now I've got the little new spring and ball assembly. No more balls here. This thing is gone. A little bit of super lube, and I'm gonna just stick that in there, just like that. This is directional. One side has a square drive, the other side of the pol has a notch side where you're gonna hammer it down. Stick my flathead down there. Apply pressure. Plug this right in. Just like that. Sweet. See how I did that? Now it's in there. With the gear, I'm going to take a bunch of super lube. There we go. Kind of give it some love. It is sealed on the other end. Slide this in. Okay. Sweet. Oh yeah, that's tight. I'm going to take a 1/2 inch wrench and give it a spin. Wow, listen to that. Here's the pressure plate all cleaned up, or the backing plate, however you want to say it. It's an old plate. It says clean, inspect, oil regularly. I use super lube in mine just because. Now, this is cool. It says always replace worn parts, which is what I'm doing. This is pretty straightforward. Now I just lay this on top. Just like this. There we go. Oh my gosh, that is so hard to turn. Bringing back the Seaman ratchet. I can't turn this one. Oh no. No, that's not how you do it. As I mentioned before, they give you 2 new screws. I'm just gonna screw those in one at a time. A little too tight there. Okay, now we can test it. I put a Seaman socket on it. Oh, that's nice. Listen to that. Now here's the last part, which is gonna confuse you. This doesn't just slide in. See, it does slide in. Just like that. I'll make sure it's the right direction. And then laying a piece of paper towel down again. I'm going to use that brass hammer and a punch, and I'm going to kind of compress or widen that switch assembly so it doesn't fall back out like it is right now. Let's see if I can just widen it a little bit and then use the other one to flatten it. There we go. You want to mushroom that top down. Hopefully that won't come out, but there we go. All right, there we go. It's rebuilt. How about that? It's very simple, very easy.
This whole process was really simple. I'll just be straightforward with you. It was really easy. The only hassle I had was that little pressed in piece, that little, what is it, a press fitting. It's a little piece that you have to press in there just so it holds and retains that little snap-on emblem that tells you that it's from Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I mean, besides that, that's the only thing that I think you're going to really have an issue with, unless you don't have a punch to punch in the selector switch. I mentioned before, I bought an S80A, and I love that thing. I also have the flex head version 1/2 inch drive, and I love them. They're great. So I don't know what the future holds for the S710, as it is an old ratchet. It's still 36 tooth, and there's no ability to make it higher tooth count. So unfortunately, because I still use my Seaman stuff, I don't know where to go from there. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. gained a little bit more information on how to rebuild this Ratchet. And if you haven't already, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Check out my channel content for more, and hey, have fun